I'm beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Hey, welcome to another episode. If you do enjoy this video, consider giving it a like, as it does help the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Last time we were partying, and this time we're going back to the wrestling ring. Game number 27, WWF Attitude. Released in 1998, this game was developed and published by Acclaim. Hey look, the RNG's being kinda weird. We already got the sequel to WWF Warzone. Pretty quick to get another wrestling game already, but hey, gotta play it at some point. First up, the Create a Wrestler feature is absolutely back, and they've expanded it quite a bit more. This is honestly an impressive character creator considering how old the game is. There's far more outfits to choose from, and you can even change your wrestler's sounds they make in the ring. My goal was to recreate Player 1, but this time, I made him even better. I'm more than happy with this result. I mean, look at the way this guy enters the ring. He's just a champion ready for his destiny. Oh my god. Stop zooming the camera in like that. Quit it. Why does it keep doing that? So the main mode in this one is career mode, and we'll be completing that to beat this game. When you start it, you see that there are 3 leagues: the Euro, Intercontinental, and Heavyweight leagues. We start in the Euro League and have to work our way to the title belt in all of them. You start ranked at the bottom and have to keep winning matches to climb the rankings. My first match was up against Mosh. I was familiar with this guy from the last game, so I was feeling pretty good. The gameplay in this one's very similar to that of Warzone. You still have the health bars that start green and slowly go down to red. You can still have the crowd cheer for you, and those crazy fighting game combos to do moves are back. Kinda wish they changed that, but oh well. And those crazy announcer dudes are back with no music during the fights. One new thing they added is cheap shots. If you get in a grapple scenario or get up from the ground, you can poke them in the eyes or hit them between the legs. It's helpful for when you're losing, although I feel it affects the crowd. Things were not going so hot in this match, as I'd apparently forgotten how to play this well already. Mosh got me down to the red, and I knew there was nothing I could do. Things still weren't going well at all, with Val Venus putting me in some submission move with an awful sound effect. Nothing I could do. I don't know what that was.
Val Venus is taking it to him, King! You think?
I decided trying to use a custom moveset was holding me back, so I decided to swap to Stone Cold's moveset on my wrestler. This seemed to make a big difference, as I was doing pretty well in this match against Mark Henry. I put him in a full Nelson, then I heard them, my glorious fans chanting, "Player 1! Player 1!
Give it up! The fans are going crazy! Why don't you get in there and wrestle, Shane?
My guy had his charisma maxed out, but it felt like they made it harder for the crowd to cheer for you in this one. With the crowd on my side, I went in for a pin on Mark Henry, and finally, I'd won my first match after over a half hour of playing. Not the greatest start. Next was Thrasher, and he got absolutely owned. Easiest pin of my life. After that was X-Pac, yet another free pin. And I ended the first session on this game with 3 wins in a row. Things were starting to look up. Next up was Kurgan, who I personally think looks a lot like Cliffy. We were both in the red, but thankfully I had the crowd on my side. Another one down. After taking down Mark Mero and Gangrel, something new came up. It said we were in a triangle match with Draws and Mark Mero, and the modifier was you needed a finisher. Since I don't watch wrestling at all, I had no clue what was going on. But apparently it's a 3-player free-for-all basically. There was nothing like this in WWF Warzone, so I had to adapt here. The multiplayer matches highlighted what was the biggest issue with this game in my opinion. That is, the way you're able to hit other players. Typically you play a 1 vs 1 match where both players are constantly locked onto each other, and everything goes smoothly. In a multiplayer match though, you may be locked onto someone who's locked onto someone else, and the way they coded the game makes moves not work unless both players are directly facing each other. This leads to some frustrating scenarios where you're trying to grab someone, but it's just impossible. Grab him! Even something simple like trying to punch them won't work most of the time. Anyway, none of us could get a finisher off on one another, so it came down to a decision. Apparently Draws won instead of me, which that really sucks. Another new thing this game brings to the table in the career mode is tag team matches. Essentially there are 2 teams of 2 and 1 player from each team is allowed to be in the ring at a time. You can tag your teammate to get them in the ring and swap out for you. This match was Player 1 and D-Lo Brown vs Draws and Dr. Death. Essentially, you just want to fight like normal, but tag your teammate if you get in trouble. Not too different from a normal match, honestly. This didn't really have a victor either, so it came down to a decision again. Thankfully, the decision went to my team. After losing yet another triangle match, I decided maybe my stats weren't up to par, so I went to change them. I thought speed wasn't important, but it kinda seemed to be. So I exchanged it for mat skills, since I learned mat skills just affects your chance to submit an opponent, something I never really try to do. So back to the ring I went. However, something was wrong. My character still felt super slow. I checked and I knew I'd saved it when I finished, but I double checked just to be sure. So I checked something, I changed my character's appearance to see it, and yep, it turns out when you start your career, you can't change your created wrestler's appearance or stats during that career. The only way to change them is to start all over from the beginning. So begrudgingly, I cut my losses and started the career all over with new stats. Finally, things were starting to look up again. The crowd was cheering for Player 1, I was dealing lots of damage, and I absolutely annihilated Goldust in my first match. Player 1 was back on top and completely dominating. Later, I was in a regular old match with Edge, and he was getting destroyed. His health was red while mine was green. Just when I wanted to go for a pin, Gangrel came out of nowhere from backstage. Who's this? What? Is that Gangrel's song playing? Where's my backup? Isn't this like where the announcer would say something like, "Oh my god, is that Gangrel's music playing?" Apparently he's only allowed to stay for like a minute because he just randomly ran off. For that tomfoolery, I decided Edge needed to face the Stone Cold Stunner. Hit him with it and he was out cold. That'll show those two. With this new stats build, I was dominating. Nobody could stop me. I'd climbed all the way to rank 3 in the EuroLeague and was presented with a triple threat hardcore match. Basically, hardcore means weapons are allowed in this match. Watching this match back reminded me of the commentator making fun of the crowd with this chant.
They should be chanting, "Idiot! Idiot!"
Yeah, they should be. The weapons don't really change much other than they deal a lot more damage than regular moves do. After a couple more wins, I'd done it. I reached the top of the rankings and earned my spot in the pay-per-view Eurobelt title match against Mark Mero. This was my chance to win and earn my spot in the Intercontinental League. It was clear Player 1 was too powerful for this league as Mark Mero was absolutely destroyed. I hit him with the Stone Cold Stunner to finish off to give the fans something exciting, you know, and I did it. There it is, the Stone Cold Stunner! I earned my spot in the Intercontinental League. Or so I thought. Apparently I had to win 5 matches in a row to defend my championship belt. I also unlocked a new cheat code for winning the EuroLeague, Squeaky Mode. Basically it made every voice in the game super high pitched like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Boss doesn't know where he is. You got him down? Check him. Here's the tie-up.
This includes the wrestlers, commentators, and even the crowd. I absolutely love games having fun cheat codes like these. I wish they still did that this day, but it doesn't seem like they do. Maybe like a paid DLC nowadays. Finally, after defending my belt for 5 matches straight, I officially earned my spot in the Intercontinental League. This time, there were only 15 wrestlers instead of 20, so it would take a bit less time to climb up the rankings, thankfully. But yeah, we're in the IC League now. My second match, something new popped up. A Gauntlet match. For whatever reason, they think it's acceptable to make me fight 5 people all in a row without stopping. Like, how the heck is this fair? And not only that, the only way to beat them is with a submission, which I never do. And remember, I lowered my mat skills stat to 0, which is what helps you submit somebody, so this sucked. Somehow I made it through everybody and was facing the final wrestler, Mosh. My health had long been in the red in this gauntlet, but I was hanging on by a thread. Mosh was just rubbing it in by flipping from the top ropes onto me. I don't know, maybe he was trying to show off or something, but that was his biggest mistake. I made a clutch reversal and then the crowd was on my side. It was all over from that point. Player 1 was truly dominant. Also, I only ranked up one spot for winning a gauntlet against all those other people. Like, come on, dude, that's not fair. But yeah, for the most part, the IC League isn't any different from the Euro League. There's some new wrestlers like Road Dogg, Godfather, S. Blackman, Jay Jarrett, Billy Gunn, and Shamrock. Towards the end of it, there did end up being one more new type of match, the Lumberjack match. I'm not exactly sure how this one works, but it seems like you're facing someone in a normal 1v1 match, but two other wrestlers are outside the ring and just trying to cause chaos. Like, they're just trying to grab you from outside the ring, and they're not really on anybody's side, they just beat anybody up. When I got to the top 3, it had me take part in a battle royale. I'm not sure if this is the same as a Royal Rumble or what, but it was basically a 4-player free-for-all match. And the way you lose is by being thrown out of the ring. You can't even pin somebody if you wanted to. This was frustrating because even though I was dominating damage-wise, they can just throw you out and that ends it all. Finally, after some more wins, I'd made it to rank 1. It was time for me to try to take the belt in the WWF SummerSlam Championship match. I was up against Shamrock. He kinda got his butt whooped. Player 1 was now the Intercontinental League Champion. I unlocked a cheat for winning this league as well, Big Head Mode. Are you really a 90s video game if you don't have a Big Head Mode cheat? Like, come on. The results of this were absolutely hilarious. It made Player 1 look even more fit, which I didn't think was possible because he's in peak physical fitness. So like before, I have to defend my belt for 5 straight matches. After keeping all those noobs off my belt, I had made it. I was in the heavyweight league. I was wrestling alongside legends like The Undertaker, Owen Hart, Kane, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, and Mankind. The heavyweight league seems kinda rigged, cause a few matches in it made me do a 2 versus 1 match. Like, what kind of garbage is this? I had to go against both Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart at the same time. Thankfully, Player 1 is absolutely OP, and Shawn Michaels was completely dazed while I submitted Owen Hart. This match was also submission required, so I couldn't pin them. Just when I thought it couldn't possibly get any more rigged, it did. I had to do a 3 versus 1 match against The Rock, Kane, and The Undertaker. Like, what do you honestly expect me to do here? This match was just impossible. Like, even if you can somehow take down one person, the other 2 will definitely get a move off on you when you're done. That combined with how janky the game is and targeting multiple wrestlers made this incredibly frustrating. I decided I'd just cut my losses and lose this one and hope there weren't any 3v1 matches that you had to do. Then later there was the WWF Royal Rumble, which is kind of rigged if you're one of the first people who have to go in. Like, I don't know, they should rebalance this, but it's all for show anyway. Luckily for me, Player 1 is the master of throwing people away, and the Royal Rumble was dominated. After winning it, I'd done it. Made it to rank 1 in the WWF Heavyweight League. Time for the championship match. Or so I thought. The game made me do a bunch of random grudge matches which stayed up even more time. The single player mode of this game definitely drags on longer than it needs to, I think. Finally, it was time for the WWF WrestleMania Heavyweight Championship match. I was going up against Triple H. I don't know, was he the belt holder back in 1998? Look, you already know how this goes. Player 1 is the greatest wrestler to ever exist, and these guys had absolutely no chance. Triple H was pinned while the announcer was calling him an idiot.
Triple H can't take much more punishment like that. It's a sea of electricity. Everyone is on their feet. They should be standing. Idiot.
Owned. We had become the world champion of all of WWF and no one could stop us. I unlocked a cheat code called Ego Mode, which makes your head even bigger when the crowd's cheering for you, and honestly it's hilarious. Like, that's really funny for them to do. Yeah, look, it's pulsating. But yeah, game complete. So there you have it, my journey to beating WWF Attitude. This game was very similar to Warzone, which we already beat, and honestly, this was a decent sequel to it, although it didn't add too much. The creative wrestler mode was more fleshed out than before, and they had way more variations in the career mode. It kept it a bit more interesting. The grudge matches were also gone, which was the main thing that frustrated me with the Warzone single player. So that was a good thing, but overall, it's still pretty darn similar. The game still has those clunky fighting game combos you have to do your moves, and the way you interact when there's multiple wrestlers on screen is really frustrating. That's Probably the worst part of the game. I gave it a 3.5 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 4 out of 10 for difficulty. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy the video, consider giving it a like, as it does help out a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. But yeah, thanks for watching, and here's a sneak peek at what is coming next. Currently we have 358 on the list. There's 2 WWF games left. We could draw that. Let's see what we get. 3, 2, 1. 343. We're wrestling again, guys. The next WCW game, which is WCW versus NWO World Tour.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?